This is Radio Nepal. I am Dila Prasai with the news. The headlines first. President Bidyadevi Bhandari administers oath of office and secrecy to Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda and 7 other ministers. First meeting of newly formed cabinet decides to reform country's economy to face the current challenges. Newly appointed Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel vows to bring country's economy on the right track, having consultations with experts. And China announces its requirement for travellers arriving in the country to go into quarantine will end on 8th of January. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda has taken the oath of office and secrecy. President Bidyadevi Bhandari has administered the oath to Prime Minister Dahal amidst a special ceremony organised at Sheetal Niwas yesterday. Leader Dahal became the 44th Prime Minister of Nepal, and this is the third time that he has taken up the responsibility of the Chief Executive. Likewise, President Bhandari also administered the oath of office and secrecy to Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel, Deputy Prime Minister and Physical Infrastructure Minister Narayan Kaji Shrestha, and Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister Rabi Lamichhane. Similarly, Ministers Jwala Kumari Shah, Damodar Bhandari, Rajendra Kumar Rai and Abdul Khan also took the oath of office and secrecy before the President. The portfolios for the ministers are yet to be decided. With this, Prime Minister Dahal has formed an 8-member council of ministers, including 3 deputy prime ministers. On the occasion of the swearing-in ceremony, Vice President Nanda Bahadur Poon, outgoing Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba, National Assembly Chairperson Ganesh Prasad Timal Sinha, and Acting Chief Justice of the Supreme Court Hari Krishna Karki were present on the occasion. The heads and officials of the constitutional bodies, leaders of political parties, and heads and representatives of the diplomatic missions based in Nepal, among others, were present on the occasion. After taking the oath of office and secrecy, Prime Minister Dahal went to the Martyrs Memorial in Lainchau to pay tributes to the martyrs. Meanwhile, the first meeting of the newly formed Council of Ministers took place yesterday evening. The Prime Minister's press coordinator Surya Kiran Sharma said the cabinet meeting took place at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers in Singh Durbar. The first meeting of the cabinet decided to move ahead by bringing reforms in the challenging existing economy of the country. Likewise, the cabinet had decided that the government would be serious to minimize the problems being faced by the citizens. Talking to media persons, Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda said that the service delivery, including passports and license, will be made effectively to the citizens. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda has directed the Prime Minister's Residence Management Section not to buy any extravagant goods and articles for the Prime Minister's official residence at Balwatar. The Prime Minister issued the directive through his private secretariat. The Prime Minister's private secretary Ramesh Malla said the new Prime Minister has issued directives that no new and showy and expensive articles should be bought. Newly appointed Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel assumed his office yesterday evening. After assuming the office, Finance Minister Paudel vowed to work to bring the country's economy on the right track. The Finance Minister said he would have extensive discussions and consultation with finance experts to make the country's economy safer and more systematic. Newly appointed Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Physical Infrastructures and Transport, Narayan Kaji Shrestha, says the government has a major role of achieving prosperity by maintaining good governance. Talking to media persons after assuming office in Singh Durbar yesterday evening, Minister Shrestha made a commitment to resolving problems seen in implementation levels of the previous government's policies and programs. Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister Ravi Lamichhane has assumed his office yesterday evening. After assuming his office, Home Minister Lamichhane pledged to work for strengthening peace and security in the country. The Home Minister also expressed that he would address the concerns of the people as per his election manifesto. Prime Minister of Pakistan Shehbaz Sharif has congratulated Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda on his appointment to the post of Prime Minister of Nepal. Via his social media handle, the Pakistani Prime Minister also remembered that Nepal and Pakistan enjoy cordial relations as regional partners. Pakistani Prime Minister Sharif also looked forward to working with Prime Minister Dahal to further strengthen bilateral ties and regional cooperation between Nepal and Pakistan. The United States of America has congratulated and extended best wishes to Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda on his appointment as the Prime Minister of Nepal. U.S. Ambassador to Nepal Dean R. Thompson took to Twitter and congratulated Prime Minister Dahal. The U.S. Ambassador mentioned that the USA was looking forward to further strengthening the 75 years partnership between Nepal and the USA. Legal advisor to the government, Qamar Bahadur Khadi, has resigned from the post of Attorney General. Attorney General Khadi submitted his resignation to newly appointed Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda yesterday. You are listening to Radio Nepal 8 AM English News Bulletin. We continue with the international updates now. China has announced that it's a requirement for travelers arriving in the country to go into quarantine will end on 8th of January. The measure is the latest in a series of restrictions to be lifted as China abandons its zero-COVID policy. China is seeing an explosion in COVID-related infections and medical workers have said they are struggling to cope. In his first comments on the changes, President Xi Jinping urged officials to do what was feasible to save lives. State media quoted him as saying the country faced new situations demanding a more targeted response. China has stopped publishing COVID statistics, but it is thought thousands of people may be dying every day. Since March 2020, all passengers arriving in China have had to undergo mandatory centralized quarantine. Russia has said Ukrainian drone attack on an air base for bombers in southern Russia has left 3 people dead. The BBC quotes Russian Defense Ministry saying air defenses shot down the drone near the Angus base, but falling debris fatally wounded 3 technical staff. Earlier this month, Russia accused Ukraine of a similar attack on the airfield, home to bombers that have carried out missile attacks on Ukraine. The Ukrainian military has not officially admitted to carrying out the latest attack. Now, the general weather forecast for the country for today. Forecasting division says the weather is likely to be partly cloudy in the hilly areas and mainly fair in the rest of the country. There are also chances of light snowfall at 1 or 2 places in the eastern and high western mountainous region. Kathmandu's weather report now. Maximum temperature of 19.4 degrees Celsius and minimum temperature of 4.4 degrees Celsius. With this news, we have come to the end of this bulletin. But before we wrap up the headlines once again. President Bidyadevi Bhandari administers oath of office and secrecy to Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda and 7 other ministers. First meeting of newly formed cabinet decides to reform country's economy to face the current challenges. Newly appointed Finance Minister Bishnu Bauder vows to bring country's economy on the right track after having consultations with experts. And China announces its requirement for travellers arriving in the country to go into quarantine will end on 8th of January. Well, that's all that we have for this edition. Our next English news edition is at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website www.radionepal.gov.np for more news and online programs. Stay tuned, stay safe and have a good day.